back to Rupert and Pinchy, where we and you try to escape the squirrel cage of insanity and make our efforts and focus on things that we can control and make a positive change in our world and families and households and in our cars, along our bikes, in the parks, in stores
I
when
knew
we're
the list was
shopping.
going to continue.
Okay. Anyway, that crazy guy next to me is his name is Pinchy, also known as Isaiah, and I am Rupert, also known as George. And so,
You
thank you
always
for
say that
taking the time.
backwards.
Well, it matters. So, and welcome to our show, and we appreciate you taking the time. We know your time's valuable. So today, Pinchy, I would like to talk about AI, but I want to tell you what inspired me about it was a scripture where in Jeremiah it talks about AI. Let me read it to you. And it's in you think I'm kidding. Anyway, chapter 49 in Jeremiah. And it's I believe verse 3. It says, "Wail, O Heshbon, for AI is laid waste."
I knew you were going to talk about the place called AI.
Do you think it doesn't say that?
Yeah, I think it doesn't say that.
Jeremiah is prophesying about AI being laid waste. Anyway, I saw that last night and I thought, oh, that's kind of funny. So anyway, I thought we'd talk about AI, and I have some thoughts on it, and
Let's hope you
I know
do,
you
because
do.
this would be
I know you do.
pointless.
Well, yeah, I know you do. So why don't you? Do you want me to start out, or do
However
you?
you want to go. I'll
Okay.
start if you
Well,
want.
let me set the groundwork. Um, why don't you go ahead and start? No, um, no.
That's funny.
The thing of when I think about AI, of course, we know that there's a lot of concern about AI out there.
This stuff is bunko. It's a bunch of malarkey. It is a scam wrapped in circular reasoning.
Yeah. So, where did that come from? That wasn't Jeremiah, but we're hearing in the news all the concern about AI and all these warnings, and Elon Musk and some engineers at Google, quitting and because they're concerned and
Oh,
warning.
really? I didn't hear about that one.
Yeah, a guy named Walter Fischgein. I can't verify that's his name. But anyway, it might be an alias. So no, but anyway, everyone's kind of curious about AI, and they're pushing us to be worried about it. I'm not worried about it, but I have some thoughts. I think it's a red herring, or it's a Manchurian candidate. And so, what I mean by that is, it almost seems like they're setting up a fall guy for some problems that are going to happen in the future, and say, "Oh gosh, it's not us; it's AI causing this problem." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know? Have you ever seen the movie Manchurian Candidate? By the way,
No, I don't think so.
It's a pretty interesting one. You'd enjoy it. The original and the one with Denzel Washington, both of them are excellent. But basically, it's just setting up a fake controlled candidate, presidential candidate that once he gets elected into office, then people behind the scenes would control him. Okay, so AI. So what I mean by that groundwork is, I feel like technology is somewhat inevitable, and technology can be a good thing, and even AI could be a good thing. But AI is always going to have somebody behind the curtain controlling it.
Mm-hmm.
Always. And so, like on Wizard of Oz, the wizard is behind the curtain. And so, controlling things. And so I feel like, we've seen movies like The Terminator. The Terminator is when Skynet becomes conscious, or whatever, and takes over the world and has a nuclear war to kill all the humans, and then, and it's AI. And so I just feel like AI is kind of a Trojan horse, and it's going to be used by people behind the scenes to do what they want.
Yeah, so, well, I do agree with that, but when you say Trojan, it makes it sound like it's completely fake. I mean, I don't know if I would agree that AI is a complete scam, but I do see the influence of the people that program it, right? So what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I don't mean it's a scam. No, AI is real.
Right.
But it means like, for example, let's say the banking industry decided to have AI control all banking expenditures and accounts and that kind of thing. And then I would go to the bank and try to withdraw money, and they would say, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. You only have $10 in your bank account." I said, "No, I had like $2,500 in my checking account." No, the bank account only shows $10. And AI did something with that money, let's say. So then the bank would say, "Oh yeah, there was a mistake there, but we can't fix it because we don't have control over it. It's the AI that's doing it." Well, there's somebody behind the AI that wanted my $2,490. Okay?
Right, well, you would say there's something behind it, right? But that doesn't mean that it doesn't have some intelligence or of some kind. Whether or not we're talking about like actually, I'm not talking about consciousness. I'm talking about like just intelligent in a specific in a computing way.
Yeah, it could be put in control of the banking, but someone behind the curtain wanted my $2,490, and the reason they wanted it is because they found out that I was a Christian and would not sign off on some kind of public belief in abortion or transgenderism or whatever, and they just decided, let's fine him. So that's the Trojan horse I'm talking about. Okay. Is that it's not a pretend thing; it's a real thing, but there will be a tendency for people to say, "Well, there's nothing we can do about it. AI is just too powerful." It's like, I'm just saying, there's always going to be somebody behind the curtain. And that's the person or the people that are a problem.
So is that why you're not afraid of AI? Because you can see through it and that if they didn't have the people behind it, it would be worthless.
Right. Well, the reason why I'm not afraid of AI is because BS or manipulation or graft or is already present. Bad leaders are already present.
Right. Well, the one problem that the one thing that I want to ask though is AI is to a degree that it can make predictions based on specific behaviors that a human could never do. So I mean, isn't that worrying that it could pick up on things that even humans couldn't pick up on, and be able to deceive more effectively?
Well, what I should say that I'm not afraid of AI. I believe AI could be used very destructively.
Right.
Okay. But I'm not going to go fight against a computer. I'm going to call out. I would like the public, or I would like to see on news networks. I would like to see on internet news sites. I'd like to see on podcasts with people that are in the know as far as when it comes to technology and programming and all those things, and say, "Hey, listen, technology's good. The problem is we have a lot of bad people, and we need to do something about that."
Okay.
So what I want to do is shift the focus from the computer to the company or the people controlling it. or making legislation that would protect it from being misused. Now, that all being said, protecting it from being misused, I don't think that's going to stop the bad people from misusing it. Okay? So that's why I say I think it's inevitable based on where we're going, but it's not the computer that's our enemy. It's the people running the computer that is our enemy.
Sure. Right. Well, but I just want to clarify more precisely. What do you mean by you're not afraid of it? What do you mean, like, you're not afraid of, or you're not worried about what part of it?
Well, okay. So that's just a statement to... okay, so if a burglar comes to my house, or a murderous burglar, and he's got a gun, okay? What I'm saying is that I'm not afraid of the gun. I'm afraid of the burglar. That's just a fine point of clarification. I am concerned about the gun, but only because it's in the hands of a burglar. Okay? If it was in the hands of a righteous person or a good law enforcement person, I would have no concern about the gun. So what I'm saying is that when I say I'm not afraid of AI, I'm just trying to build a point or an emphasis that AI is not our enemy.
Okay, yeah, I get that.
It's the guy behind it. You know,
so you don't think that AI could ever do anything of its own volition, even not a conscious volition, and that's not what I'm saying, and just make a decision that even the people that control it.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's always going to be a group of people in control. And do I think they're going to? Do I think it's has the potential to be really bad? Yes, because there are really bad people. You know, if that burglar had a gun, or let's say he came to steal and be murderous at my house, armed with a sharp pencil. Okay, well, he may be bigger and faster than me, but I think I have a chance. Then he comes with a stick. And then he comes with a bat. Now it's getting worse. Then he comes with a sharp sword. Now it's getting worse. Now he comes with a gun. Okay, now he comes with a 12-gauge shotgun, semi-automatic. Now he comes with an AR-15. So every time that weapon gets stronger, the effect of that one wicked burglar murderer becomes more lethal, right? More dangerous, more concerning. So I'm trying to make a provocative statement and try to shift our concern not on the AI necessarily, but more on the fact that people will misuse it.
Right. Well, I have a question though. If somebody, even if you're programmed by somebody with a agenda, does that mean that AI... Why do you believe that AI could never reach a point where it could make a decision, not necessarily a conscious decision, but make a decision beyond the programmers?
There'll always be someone behind the scene controlling it, though.
Right, I agree with that.
Emotion.
But how does that make it unable to do that, even if there is somebody behind the faulty programming of the...
Well, I'm not saying that it can't do that. Like I said, I was trying to make a provocative point because I think a lot of what I
asked was if you think it could ever do that, and you said no. So
well, what I mean is it would be programming. It would be programming for whatever the builder put into it. It's always a program.
Well,
there's no way around it.
Okay, well, I get that. My question is more like the way that AI is formatted is it takes in information and then makes leaps of logic based on those. Whether or not we can say that it's conscious of what it's doing, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying just the way that the algorithm is set up is that it takes data and then it processes it more efficiently. So couldn't it add more to its data set, even with okay.
I think I know what you're saying. This might answer it. I believe that the person behind the curtain realizes that the programming that they set up will make decisions based on logical determinations, based on the data that it's been in its memory bank to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Will that person behind the curtain know that the decision is going to be to go to 5th Street instead of 2nd Street? No. The person behind the curtain doesn't care.
Okay.
He or she knows, or that group knows, that computer or that AI is going to make decisions, and they're totally fine with it.
Yeah.
And it's all going to be based on the data and the information that has been programmed into it.
Okay.
And so, is there any concern that AI would go like turn on its handler? Okay. And my answer to that would be no. No handler. What I would say is, if that handler programmed it in such a way not to respect anyone different than anybody else, okay, then I would say there's a chance, there's a possibility, there's a probability that computer would take out its handler, or the wizard behind the curtain. But the wizard behind the curtain is smart enough to know he needs to have some fail safes in there so that doesn't happen, right?
Right. And
I would expect, I would bet that's the case.
Sure.
Now, so does that kind of answers what your question was getting to, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the only part of AI that actually concerns me, if let's just pretend and assume that we're in a reasonable world, with good leaders that know that they're awake, or know that they're alive, or know that they're what color of ice cream they're eating or flavor, and they realize that flavors of ice cream isn't based on color of the ice cream. But let's just say
that should be our test for somebody being in office.
Yeah, let's just say we're in a normal world, a reasonable world. AI raises a lot of concerns. Technology raises a lot of concerns about employment. Okay? Because if, for example, we have a country of 100,000 people, and the system is set up such a way that, some of those are housewives, let's say. We're saying it's in a normal country. Some of those are housewives. And so 70,000 people of that 100,000 population country work. Okay, as technology and that country is growing. Okay, so it has a population growth that causes it to continue to grow, not to decline. But technology is going to cause a drop in the need of numbers of those employed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so an AI has the capability of reducing a lot of things. It's not going to be able to milk the cows. It's not going to be able to do plumbing. It's not going to be able to do house building. But technology in all those areas are going to make those professions much more efficient and probably need less people. And yet the population is going to grow. So my concern about AI, just off the side, and we can go back to our concern, is that it's already a concern now. You don't need as many people to do the job, and yet more people are being born, and those people that needed those jobs are now unemployed. What are countries going to do about that?
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
I have two questions. So, are you sure that it wouldn't be able to do plumbing and things like that? Why wouldn't it be able to do that?
Well, it's not going to be able to crawl up in the crawl space. I mean, okay, if we want to project out that there's going to be a robot that can be as agile as our friend Ethan and do, heating and ventilation in tight crawl spaces and have the dexterity and be able to drive the company truck and that's maybe a possibility. Maybe. I don't think we'll ever get to that point. But let's just say, just like the movie I, Robot, they're able to do that. Well, that is probably, we don't have to worry about that right now. That's like 200 years away. That is not right around the corner, in my opinion. Okay? I actually do not think that time will ever come like iRobot.
Right.
Okay? But that being said, just the financial institution, Google and Facebook and Twitter and all those, they've laid off, and a lot of tech firms have been laying off people. It's not because they're losing clients or because they have less business. It's because their computer systems are able to process those things without human involvement.
Yeah.
And so less and less of those people are needed. Okay. So those people, I think, are going to be the first ones hit by the technology that I'm concerned about. Right. Or that any country should be concerned about. It's like, okay, what are we going to do when technology and computing systems reduce the need for employees?
Sure.
What are we going to do with the people that aren't working?
Okay, yeah, I get that now. So we're actually kind of in that position where
we are a little bit. Yeah.
AI is able to do certain jobs, at least not necessarily full-fledged, but is able to do a lot of that processing and things like that. So I think we are nearing a time where that is going to happen. I mean,
it's happening a little bit.
I have no doubt that it will happen. So I think that's really interesting, though, because I agree with you that there's no time soon when robots are going to be doing these jobs. Maybe it's possible, but the way that the world is currently set up, we will need people that do physical labor more and more when it comes to the trades and things like that. There are some things that robots do in like factories and things like that, but we're talking about like plumbing, we're talking about HVAC, we're talking about these things that and also they're going to still need people to build these things, even if it's become more efficient. And there are certain jobs that can't be replaced by robots and AI yet.
Right. So yeah, in manufacturing like cars or appliances where robots are used a lot, that has reduced the workforce greatly in those fields. But anything that of repair nature, whether it's electrical, plumbing, heating and ventilation, foundation, concrete work, a carpenter, a doctor, a chiropractor, a ophthalmologist, and so those things are way I don't think will ever be truly affected until long into the future. But factory jobs, or like even at McDonald's, you go to McDonald's now and they don't need 4 checkout people because they have 3 computer screens that you can order your food with, hit order, and never have to talk to a person. So that's reduced the workforce just in the fast food. So, like you said, it is having an effect now. So countries are going to have to figure out, okay, we don't like welfare for people that are able-bodied people, right?
Right.
That can work. Welfare or the safety net, or to help those in bad situations, is a good thing. And but if it's abused, it's a bad thing. But besides the abuse, now you're going to have so many more numbers that maybe don't have an opportunity for a job.
Right.
Right. So what are you going to do with all those extra people?
Right.
Are you? Is there going to be some kind of social welfare program that's going to be necessary? And then what happens with the people that are still working? They're going to be like, wait a minute, someone can have this job. I'll stay home. And so those are issues that are here today, but they're going to increase more and more. And so those things could be handled in a very prudential and charitable way. If countries and governments are operated properly. But when we're talking about AI, basically we're talking about the concern of them taking over financial institutions and shutting down people's bank accounts that does not agree with the government, like we saw in Canada with the truck convoy. A lot of those people had their bank accounts and finances and jobs put in jeopardy electronically.
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't by AI.
Right.
It was by Trudeau and the government.
Right.
But at some point, corrupt governments or tyrannical governments are going to put AI in charge.
Right. Well,
to do their bidding.
They could. It will make it easier, and it will use a more systematic approach to being able to do that, and more. They'll be able to do more of that, and that is a concern. It's like it makes it way easier for control to just send AI to do it instead of needing to just have actually people managing that. I mean, obviously, you want to keep track of the AI and make sure it's doing what you want it to, but that becomes way easier. And I think this kind of goes to the mentality of how the Marxism and communism, the approach that they've taken in America, which is not physical force at first, but inching slowly and slowly and slowly until all of our freedoms have just disappeared. And that's something that AI can do, is it doesn't need to apply physical force to coerce you. It can take your money. It can do things in a almost seemingly indirect way, but more direct than it ever has been, if that makes sense.
Shut off your water. Shut off your electricity.
And people would never know that happened. Here's why. Because imagine that they take all your money, and then what they do is they stop all of your social media. They take your phone plan. Nobody would ever know that even happened, because there would be no trace in which they could go back to you. And so what would happen is that would happen over and over again, and people wouldn't even realize it and be able to speak out about it.
Well, and then the other thing there, that's why I say it's kind of a deflection, and it's kind of a wizard behind the curtain. Is it's a bad cop, good cop kind of situation. What I mean by that is that, so let's say you have elected leaders, and they put in place an AI that controls all these things. And China's using this now. It's called their credit system. I can't remember the name, but it's they
are gauging your and stuff like that.
Yeah, your social credit score. They're judging: are you using a lot of plastic goods? Are you eating a lot of Twinkies? Do you watch the wrong programs? And you're going to have a certain score that gives you a certain credit score that gives you a certain. If you have $1,000 in bank, but you've been a bad boy, you're going to have 400 in the bank. And so they're going to try to coerce you and control you by manipulating that, even though that is your money.
Right.
Let's say you earned it. Okay. So, so what's going to happen is these leaders that are elected, they're going to say, well, they're going to be able to shift the blame. This is a system that we put in and you guys voted me in and we're doing the best we can. So just hang in there. So they're never going to take responsibility, even though they have the responsibility. The second thing that's going to happen is when, let's say, a person is identified as an undesirable, or having some problems and their water shut off or whatever, and they complain, the neighbors, they're going to have peers that are going to say, well, you should just, why, it's your fault because you spoke out, you used your voice to voice your opinion. You should have the right opinions, otherwise this wouldn't happen to you. So it's mostly your fault. It's not government's fault. It's them trying to help us out, and I have to, curb what I really think just so I get the money and whatnot. And so it's not the government's fault. It's your fault. That's going to be huge. So when it's kind of like the mark of the beast thing. Well, you're not eating because you wouldn't get the mark. So it's not the government's fault. It's not the globalist system's fault. It's your fault because you just won't agree.
Do you think this is what leads to that?
Okay.
Possibly.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those mechanisms that seem to be very well suited to what we know as the mark of the beast, where they control what you can buy or sell.
Right. Well,
because they already have that in China.
Mm-hmm. So you think that because they'll be able to analyze everything about you and have that all under control, then they can coerce you more fully into denying Christ and taking up these their ideologies.
Right.
So I think that's really possible.
They may say, you and I heard a video, but they may say it's fine if you love Christ. It's fine if you go to church. It's absolutely fine if you have the Bible. But you can't speak out against homosexuality. You can't speak out against no-fault divorce.
So it's kind of like Rome.
Yeah.
You can have your God, but you have to worship Caesar. You have to burn incense to Caesar.
Right.
You can have your religion, your God, whatever you want, but you have to burn incense to Caesar, and otherwise you will die. I mean, we saw that. Or
otherwise in Rome's time, otherwise you die. Here we're not going to kill you. Well, if I don't eat, I'm going to die. Right?
Right.
So,
but I really like that parallel just simply because that's kind of how it goes when it comes to the devil and how he works in our society is, well, I'm not saying you can't believe what you want to believe. I'm only saying that, you want to do that? Then just burn incense to Caesar. It's not that big of a deal. And it's like, no, it is a big deal. It's about denying Christ. You're telling me that I don't have to deny Christ, but you really are saying I do because there is no other but Christ. And so the idea that I should worship and bow down to Caesar is absurd. Okay, then you're going to die. Well, this life passes away, but there is an eternal prize that awaits us. So it's like, man, we got to really be prepared for that. We got to be prepared for a systematic martyrdom that we've never seen before.
Right. A friendly one. No heads are going to be cut off. You're just not going to have gasoline. And you're not going to have water. No one's going to beat you. Although they might, you may go to jail or they may take you. I don't know. But it's going to be a friendly persecution. You're just going to starve. No, we're not going to, so...
Well, we're going to run into the same issue that they ran into back then, which is, well, what am I going to do with my kids? What are they going to do? That's really actually more coercive than about you. It would be like, well, your kids are going to starve. It's like, are you willing to do that in order to maintain the name of Christ.
Right. Well, so
and a lot of people are not.
Yeah. So even when the devil tempted Jesus in the wilderness, now the devil wasn't tempting God; he was tempting the Son of Man. He was tempting the Lord Jesus Christ, right? And he said, "Just bow down before me." He didn't say you had to deny, like you were saying. He didn't say that you had to deny Yahweh.
Right.
He didn't say you had to deny God the Father. Just bow down before me. And it's the same thing. And so,
oh yeah, well, also based on what Jesus says, what is it that what verse does he quote about God in that instance? Worship the Lord your God and serve Him only.
Right. So yeah. The temptation is not. Oh yeah, you can have your religion, but you can't. Like you said, you got to pinch the incense to the Caesar. And that is going to be in a lot of different ways. You have to sign off on this perversion being okay. You can never speak about it. It's possible they might, want to edit all the Bibles or any kind of religious text that has anything against the sins of the flesh.
Well, they are doing that with other books.
Yeah.
Constantly.
So that's a possibility. The other thing is you mentioned kids, and there's a history in I can't remember if it's First Maccabees or Second Maccabees, but there's a mother who has 7 sons, and they are being they're basically being challenged to burn incense to the Caesar, in a sense. Okay, and each son, it's a loved family, or a good family. Each son is encouraged by the leaders to say, just say it, but don't mean it, and we won't.
You can't be blamed.
You can't be blamed, and they're appealing to the mother to talk some sense into your kids not to do this. Well, every son they tortured, and it was worse and worse and worse and worse to the last one, and then they finally killed the mother. But every one of those statements that each of those martyrs said in there was incredible. But it's like you said, that's when the challenge will come. Well, we're going to take your kids away. What are people going to do?
Well, they're already doing that. What I mean by that is, with the transgender thing, they're like, your child will kill themselves if you don't do this. Mm-hmm. I mean, how hard is that? To hear that, and then what are you going to do? I mean, if you know what the truth is, you're going to obviously say, no, I will not do this. But people are going to be like, why would you not do this? They're going to kill themselves. It's like, well, I know what the truth is, and this will harm them. And I don't remember, but there was this, I'm trying to remember. There was this clip of this woman talking about how her daughter was saying that she was going to kill herself if
she wasn't allowed to do such and such.
Yeah, if she wasn't allowed to do that. And she's like, why would she do that? And I'm not going to change my mind about it. And it's like, that's just such a, it's coercion. It's just trying to make me do something that I know is wrong. And I can't do that. And so it's like, they're doing that already when it comes to that. But it's going to become more and more difficult.
Well, and that situation is going on, and that's more of would be a discussion on if we were ever going to talk maybe about transgenderism sometime. But that's more internal. But it's when the state comes and says, we're going to take away your child because you are not allowing them to transition.
Right. Well, they are doing that too to some people.
Yeah. No, they are doing it. Period. They are. And then you have it where a husband and wife have a child going through being manipulated by the current culture, and them disagreeing on what should be done.
Right.
And one or the other, usually it's the woman, will file a case, so that they get custody of the child so that they can transition them. And so, yeah, that's going on. So the coercion, so AI is going to be, going back to the AI thing, it's tailor-made for a beast system.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, yeah, at some point, I think that is going to be involved. And before AI is, there's a lot of fronts in the war, and one of the fronts in the war is also digital money. In a good, clean, just world, digital money would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It makes things so simple for business owners and people just to have a card, whatever. The problem is we know what man does with that kind of power. And we know what tyrannical governments will do with that kind of power.
We do.
And so, but I would guess, I would guess that digital money is going to be a fact.
Oh, I believe so. They're going to stop using physical money because that's not going to serve their purposes. And so
coming back to, okay, so do we waste our time on the squirrel cage of fighting against the use of computers or fighting against digital money? I'm not saying that if somebody wants to fight against those, that's fine. But that's not where the problem is. The problem is the people that we elect as leaders or we allow to remain in leadership. And so to get off that squirrel cage of useless, of us fighting against digital money, the powers that be, they're not concerned about people fighting against digital money. They know it's going to happen. If we were more interested in electing good, just people, moral people, we both, well, I don't know if you know, but I know people that claim to be Christian, claim to be Catholic, and would vote for the most antichrist candidate always.
Well, I know about those people, and I do know some people, but not like, I don't encounter that often, honestly.
Yeah, how is that possible? How is that possible? Even though we think the election was stolen, still we know that 50 million at least voted for Joe Biden. How's that possible?
Well, I mean, how is it that anyone did? That's really the question.
If and our local elections here in Wisconsin, or your what's going on in Minnesota, if we do not change who we elect as leaders and hold them accountable, all our fighting against AI, digital money, it doesn't matter.
Right. Well, I think a good example of what you're talking about, electing the officials in our governments, is I'm pretty sure it's Chicago. Lori Lightfoot was such a bad mayor that they got rid of her, but then they brought in someone that's even worse, as if that's going to make everything better. And it's like, are you thinking through what you're doing? Because you're going to actually make it worse than it already is. And that happens in every state. Like, many times in many states. It's just like, in Minnesota, we're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. And it's like, are you thinking about what you're voting for? Have you thought about it? And it's like, yeah, well, we're going to keep getting bad things if we elect bad people. So, think about it. I understand why some people dislike Trump, but it's like, get over it. What is he? If he was the front runner of the GOP and he was in there, and you're looking at him versus Biden, it's like, okay, hold on.
No-brainer.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. You can hate Trump all you want, but look at what his plans do. Look at what his what he would do in office. It's like, he would do the things that we need. And so it's like, I totally understand why people hate Trump in different ways. look past it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. What we need is the truth. Mm-hmm. And you can hate him all you want, but don't vote the way that
I love you, Donald Bigley.
That you feel.
But so yeah, well, we've had nominees on our side that I totally believed if they had won that they would be just as bad as the other side. Mm. But I still voted for them because they weren't on paper as bad as the other side per se. So all I'm saying is coming back to the AI thing, is I just wanted to throw that out to you today, Z, that, it's one of those squirrel cage. There's squirrel cages all over our lives. And so if you're going to battle AI or you're going to battle digital money and you still feel that's a reasonable battle, fine. But I would just suggest to you it's not the primary battle. Mm-hmm. Okay? The primary battle is who we're electing and what we're doing in our own sphere of influence and how we're operating, like I said, in our own sphere of influence first. Mm-hmm. And then if you feel like you really want to expend energy fighting Google or fighting whatever, go ahead. Mm-hmm. But realize that if all of us took our fight to Google and AI and digital money, it's not going to have a dent.
No, it's not.
It's coming.
It's not.
It's a fact. So that's all I had today. And
well, hold on before we have some more? I just wanted to say, everyone is so worried about the AI and how it's going to affect everything.
Remember what Jeremiah said in chapter 49.
Right. But the thing is, I think that the media is using it as a distraction.
Absolutely.
They're using it as a they're drawing attention to it mm-hmm. while they try to do things in the background, and it's people are really so obsessed with understanding AI and looking at that. But a lot of these mm-hmm. people don't take a second glance at the media. Mm-hmm. But somehow they're worried about AI, but the thing that's right in front of them, they can't see.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, this the people that in the technology in the computer world that are stepping away from AI because they're warning against it. Mm-hmm. Now they're in a tough position, I understand, but I wonder if they were honest, if they would say okay, yeah, AI is dangerous because of Steve and Lori and Dennis and Jim who are controlling this company. Those people are the dangerous people. If we had good people, and if they would come out, and I would like to hear somebody come out and say from the techno. I think it's true. It's if they said AI is not the problem, it could be a great gift. Technology could be a great gift to mankind. Mm-hmm. It's the problem is the people that control it, or potentially the people that could take control of it. Right.
So, well, I mean, we see that in so many different ways. People are like, things aren't the way they used to be, and they complain about this and that, and I mean, they're good complaints. I mean, it's like there are certain things that we can complain about, but then they don't put it together. Where all this is coming from, where all this madness is coming from. I bet the majority of people that have been boycotting Bud Light have no idea what they ultimately are boycotting, because they care about the Bud Light, But where did Bud Light get the idea of supporting transgenderism? How deep does it go? They don't even think about that. They think about one single thing, but they forget about everything else that led up to it. I think. It seems like to me.
Well, I would say this. I think the people boycotting Bud Light are right. I mean, you're not saying they're not
no,
right.
I'm not saying they're not right.
Right. No, but I would say they're the normal people. And I would say that those are the people that already have their life straight. So, for example, one of the challenges with, we're against abortion vehemently. And we realize that most people with our shared beliefs are not having a challenge with being tempted to abort their babies.
No.
Right?
Right.
So we know it's people that do not have faith or strong faith or left their faith or have, at best, lukewarm faith. But even that, it is still unjustified to kill a innocent human being, unborn or born. And so, so we fight against it. But we realize that the people that were trying to keep from abortion aren't necessarily the people that are against it. They're not in deception. What I'm saying is that when Bud Light, the problem with Bud Light, it's kind of funny. I'm glad it happened because it just shows that sometimes the left they just don't have some common sense. It's like, okay, your main customer for Bud Light is your normal Joe guy. No, generally your normal Joe guy, your farmer, your whatever, not just farmer, but just a normal patriotic human being. That's your normal patriotic heterosexual, family oriented person. And you have an ad campaign that attacks that at its core? Not too bright.
Well, as in J.R. Tolkien, evil always kills itself.
Yeah.
In the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's ultimately what happens.
Yeah. And it will. Lawlessness will lay waste the whole earth. So, and then we saw, as a reminder, chapter 49 in Jeremiah, for those of you who are afraid of AI, verse 3, it says AI will be laid waste.
Isn't it just I?
It's AI. I don't know how to pronounce it, so I just do the AI. So
that's funny.
So anyway, just some thoughts on
this stuff is
AI.
bunko. It's a bunch of malarkey. It is a scam wrapped in
Why do you look up
reasoning.
whenever you do that?
Because it just comes,
Yeah.
Well, anyway, everyone, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Pinchy, have a great day, and
you as well.
Godspeed.
Have a good week.